welcome to Let's Talk Diz, a show that gives you everything you need to know to help make your Disney vacation as magical as can be in just about 20 minutes. I'm your host, Jeff Coviello. With me each week is Disney Master Sandy from Easy Diz by Instant Impressions Travel Services. Sandy, how are you doing tonight?
I'm feeling like I might be going to a galaxy far, far away.
Well, that's right. Cue the slow crawl into the abyss of space. We are going to a galaxy far, far away. However, we are not taking this journey alone. We are going to be joined by a very special guest tonight that I know that you're going to take the opportunity to introduce, and then you're going to give us a little bit of background about the experience. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the Galactic Star Cruiser.
We are, and I am excited to have my friend Mike Venero with me, and I think Mike really embodies everything that Disney talks about. You're never too old to be a kid and enjoy the theme park. So Mike decided that this was not the vacation for him and his wife. This was the vacation for him and one of his old buddies to celebrate their birthday. They did a guys-only weekend to the Galactic Star Cruiser. So welcome, Mike. I can't wait to talk about this.
Hey, Sandy, neither can I. This is something that I've been waiting for since I was 12 years old, to be in Star Wars.
Well, they certainly took their time building this for you, didn't they?
You know, it's part of that anticipation. As they build that anticipation, the excitement. That's, I think, part of the whole Disney experience, right? When you went to Disneyland or Magic Kingdom for the first time when you were young, or whatever age you were. You were so excited that you just were busting as you made your way to the turnstile to get in, and an overwhelming feeling came over you when you entered the park, and that's what this was like.
It's obviously a Walt Disney World resort for all intents and purposes, but as you obviously know, it's very different. You can't show up when you want. You don't leave when you want. It's more like going on a cruise ship. Everybody boards at once and everybody leaves at once. So talk to me about pulling up. Is it, obviously I've seen the Star Cruiser. I've seen Disney Cruise Line ships. Do you get that feeling? Did you pull up and have to wait online to get to that front entrance? Talk to us about that true arrival experience.
Not just anybody can go there. And that's what makes it really super special as well, is that when you drive up, there's a security gate and there are very few other people there because it's a very exclusive experience. And so you go through a checkpoint and you're really almost backstage in Disney World. You're going on roads that nobody goes on, and you're really sort of out of the way and in a corner. And then when you arrive at the portal, basically call it your docking station for the spacecraft. It looks like something you would see in Star Wars, and as you go into and enter the portal to get you to your transport that will take you up to the Star Cruiser, you have left this world and you are now in the world of Star Wars.
Awesome. And I will say one quick note for our listeners. We talk in all of our shows how all of the resorts are open for anyone to visit and anyone to dine. This is the true exception. They will not let you in unless you are a Star Cruiser guest.
And you mentioned, Mike, too, like just the story. That to me is what this experience is, that you were waiting since you were 9 or 10 or 12 years old for this to be a walkable experience. So many folks that have grown up with this Star Wars canon, the Star Wars lore as a part of their life, have lived that same experience that you have, where they were waiting. Everybody has taken the wrapping paper tube and had a lightsaber duel. Like, this is something that generations of people have imagined in their head, that now it's been imagineered into real life. So to be able to take that opportunity, it had to have been overwhelming as you're walking into the beginning of this trip.
It was. I flashed back to when I was 12 years old.
Right.
I went back literally 35 years in my life, to a point in my life where my mind was expanded and blown by watching the crawl into deep space of
Right.
A New Hope. And I think that excitement, was there. It was, but it was also met with very high expectation.
Sure.
I didn't want to get let down. You know what I mean? I didn't want to, look behind the curtain and go, oh yeah, no, it's just a facade.
Right.
And I never saw that. Once you step foot through the portal, when you get on the transport that takes you off of this planet up to the spaceship, you are on a transport. When you board the ship and you go through the airlock and you get onto the Star Cruiser, you are on a ship. You are greeted by ship personnel. Everybody is in character. It is now 24 hours a day, immersive experience where you are in an adventure that's going to be unique for you because nobody else is going to be another you on another cruise, or that person's never going to be with the same other people. Everything happens sort of in this sort of improvisational Star Wars type of experience. And I think that's the part that I think I love the most, is that I never saw a crack in the armor or a crack in the characters and the actors that played them. They were all phenomenal. Just staying in their characters the entire time, which can be exhausting.
Yeah, imagine that. I want to talk about the onboard activities, but before we do that, I want to kind of go back to something that you just said, which is that the experience is incredibly individual. It's incredibly unique. It's your experience. It's an experience you're sharing with the people that you're taking this trip with, or the people that are staying at the same time that you're there. And you also mentioned the cast members. So talk about, for folks that haven't done it, that are interested in doing it, talk about the roles that the guests can take on, and that maybe you did take on as a guest aboard the Galactic Star Cruiser during your stay.
Sure. You know, that's the nice thing about this, is that if you truly want to be a voyeur and watch this story unfold of what happens on the Star Cruiser, because there's a lot of drama that goes on. So you can do that if that's really what you want to do, and you can partake in everything as a human from planet Earth in this ship, and that can be your role, right? You are just there as a passenger, or you can be part of what is happening. You can be immersed in the Star Wars canon, as it were. In fact, my buddy Bill and I. We're both huge Star Wars fans, and Bill made the suggestion to me. In fact, he bought for my birthday, he said, "Here, we're going to wear these." And he bought 2 First Order captain's uniforms. And he says, "We're going to be First Order." And I said, "So we're going to be the bad guys?" And he's like, "Yep." And I just smile. I said, "Well, bring it on. Let's do this." And as you might expect, not a lot of people were First Order.
No.
So we were in very, very limited company. And so our interaction with the characters was immediate and regular and often. So we were actually part of everything going on and part of the story. And we were an integral part of an integral characters. That so much so that some of the guests actually thought that we were cast members. And I think that was just a huge compliment to us. And I would just, again, we were just so happy to be able to do those types of things. And just the characters themselves welcomed us. They just took it at face value that we were who we said we were, and we were going to be part of the story, and they were going to bring us into the story. And that's one of the things I really, I'm always going to look back and treasure from our time on there.
Obviously, once you're on board this experience, and we're going to use that term because that's legitimately what we are. We're on board the Galactic Star Cruiser. There's so many different activities. I don't want you to feel like you have to be, spoiling it for anybody if there's anything that you think is a really awesome experience. But there are some things that are out in the public now, some things that people have seen, some things that people are talking about or excited to do. So I guess my question to you is, with the itinerary that they have set, what were some of your favorite activities that you saw or that you took part in, or maybe that you didn't get a chance to, but if you were to go back, you would enjoy the next time?
So the nice thing about it, even though it is a relatively short experience, there is enough time to do it all.
Okay.
We did it all. Okay. As an adult, they have a very Star Wars-esque cantina with a card game in the middle of it that you can play.
Did you let the Wookiee win? I mean, that's the important question.
You always let the Wookiee win. Otherwise, someone might get their arms pulled out of their sockets.
That's fair.
But just sitting there and playing this card game with other aliens or other passengers there, and learning how to play this new game was fantastic. There are characters that will come by and talk to you about the game. They might not speak English.
Right.
That is a spoiler I am going to leave, because I haven't heard anybody talk about how you could possibly understand them, but there's a way to. But the drinks were all fabulous too. All concoctions from different planets and different worlds, made with very seemingly terrestrial, Terran, earthly ingredients, but all with a twist. All either smoking or looking very much not part of this world. But I think one of the things I enjoyed the most, it's a tough call, because there is bridge training, because they have to train you when you're on the ship in case something happens to the crew, so that you would be fit enough to be able to run part of it.
Obviously,
and so
yes.
We went through this training on the bridge, and which is amazing. And then there is, in fact, it's so amazing. Some of the things that you do as you're in space, you might think that you might work with the weapons to make sure that, there's something in front of the ship, like an asteroid, you might have to blast it so that the ship wouldn't run into it. When you're in your room on the sides of the ship and your portal, your view into space is there, if you're in your room when somebody is doing the bridge training, you will actually see debris and things come by your room. It is that immersive and realistic. But beyond that, also the lightsaber training, who doesn't want to get trained by a Jedi master on how to use a lightsaber and to go through true lightsaber training? It takes the lightsaber training that they do at the parks and then amps it up by 11. It is fantastic. You wish it could go on longer, but by the time you're done, after the training itself, you're exhausted, because there's a lot of moving around. Those lightsabers, they don't move themselves.
You talked about your surroundings. You talked about your room and how literally the surroundings change based on what's going on, with the other guests aboard the Star Cruiser. What can you share about the room and the pod and just really the experience, the things that I'm curious about, and I'm sure some other folks like me who are crazy. You're listening to this Disney podcast. Obviously there's a little Disney psychosis going on in your brain, right? But like, I'm down to the textures, like the textures that you're touching in your room. Like, what are we smelling? What are we seeing? What are we touching? How does it look? Give me everything you can without, whatever you think would spoil the experience for somebody.
The colors that you would expect are the colors that you would see in your room. Oranges, beiges, whatnot. The shapes that you would see, everything very, very, very curved. That's all there. You have, and you've probably seen pictures of the rooms where, you have bunk beds, and, they're basically what you might see if you're watching an episode of Andor.
Yeah.
Sleeping quarters there in several of the episodes was very, very reminiscent of the sleeping quarters that were in this room. There is a communication device with a communication assistant, that's your personal assistant that you can engage with. And then my favorite is to be able to look outside your portal and see out into space as you are traveling through space to your destination, looking out and seeing ships, asteroids, things fly by. Nothing is repeated. Everything is fresh. Everything's new. And of course, you do need to sleep. So the ability to actually close the portal is also an option, which is, again, a treat to be able to do when you're in your room. We didn't end up spending a whole lot of time in our room, just because there's so much going on, and,
right.
and there's a mission at hand. There's things afoot that you have to be ready for.
We are just crossing all sorts of stories right here with our references, by the way, but that's all right. Sandy, I know you had some questions about the dining that we wanted to kind of pepper out there. When I had spoken to some friends that had done it, that was a huge takeaway from them as well. So go ahead and lead us off with some of your questions about dining.
You bet. It wouldn't be Disney if we didn't focus on dining. And I think that's, such a hallmark for them, the authentic as you can get for a made-up place. But you got to have a couple of experiences. I know you dined in, similar to a cruise ship, their main dining room, the Crown of Cornelia. But then I think you also did a special captain's table experience. So tell us what you thought of both of those things.
from the very first food that we were offered. There's a cafeteria type experience where everything you see is nothing you recognize. Only once you taste it do you realize that this tastes like something we have on Earth. But when you look at it, nothing looks like you're expecting it to taste. And so I think that was some of the most fun is to basically try, and you can do this because it's a cruise ship, right? You can eat everything and anything that you want and just pay for it later. But we experienced that. We went there. We tried a little bit of everything, and it's nice because it's almost tapas portions. So there's always like a little bit, so that you can really kind of go far in your experiential culinary adventure, and get a little bit of everything, which was really neat, and so that made it fun. But yeah, the captain's table experience. We were right at the table up front for the evening's entertainment, which again, I can't tip my cap enough to the performers on the Star Cruiser. Just amazing performers. The performer we had singing the act during our captain's table experience, her voice was absolutely stunning, amazing. And so to watch that go on along with the drama around it, because she was also part of this drama, part of this story that was unfolding. And so we were at the captain's table. The captain and the cruise director, they joined us at the table and interacted with us and talked about this. And the story was virtually in our laps. No time for dessert. Well, we're going to make time for dessert, but it's hard to when you're looking around and you're nervous about what's going to happen next. Everything that they served, and you can see a lot of this online as well, is just uniquely alien. And it's so much fun just to try it out and be able to try everything without having to worry about, choosing. You didn't have to choose. You got a little bit of it all, which was
That's
fantastic.
Awesome. So did you leave with a new favorite food?
I can't get it all here. I'd have to go back into space.
We'll work on that cookbook.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
There you go.
But the ingredients, boy, talk about shipping costs. I don't know if Amazon would deliver that at free shipping.
Literal inflation into space. It's very, very high. It's incredible. We can't talk about this particular experience without suspending our reality, our I guess suspending the fiction that we are describing here to talk about the fact that a lot of people are enamored by this experience because of their access to Batuu, right? So my question is from just a logistical standpoint, can you talk a little bit about the transportation from the resort over to the theme park? And what your access was like?
You're in the starship, right? So the only way, this isn't the Star Trek world. This is the Star Wars world. So there is no transporter. So you actually have to take a shuttlecraft. Okay. And so we took a shuttle from the cruise ship down to Batuu, and we docked, and we came out right in the heart of Batuu. And having visited Batuu from a traditional perspective, from a traditional entry point, you wonder sometimes what this space is for. And only once you've been a guest on the Galactic Star Cruiser do you realize what that space is for. Okay. And I'm going to leave it at that, because that's part of the fun, is where you pop out from your transportation from the starship to Batuu. That's part of the fun, and that you're going to have to you just have to see it.
Now, the follow-up question I have to that, though, you're taking this pod, you said, so to speak, down. Is it as immersive as something like your room? Like, are there windows blacked out? Are you seeing space? Okay.
Oh, it is immersive, and it moves. It's like every time you're going to go somewhere, it's another ride.
Right.
So you take a ride from Earth to the ship. You take a ride from the ship to Batuu. And you're on a ride when you're just living on a Star Cruiser. So yeah, so it's a nonstop theme park movie immersive experience. It just doesn't stop. And like I said, there's no cracks in the armor. You can't look out and see, oh, they're just, doing this backstage, and, people are like shaking the craft or whatever. And they make you think like it's moving.
Yeah.
Oh, no. It's a lot better than that.
Now, once you're there, the itinerary that you're there is built. Is it incredibly time sensitive that you're doing Rise of the Resistance at this time, Millennium Falcon at this time? Like how did that play out? Was it a very strict itinerary that you had access for? Was there room to play within that time to just kind of walk around? What was that like?
So I didn't think there was going to be, but there is more than enough time. You're given commensurate access to the appropriate Star Wars experience. So your Rise of the Resistance, Smuggler's Run, you're taken care of there. So if you did want to go into what we call the Badlands outside of Batuu,
right.
Only if you dare. They're very strange looking creatures there, bipeds mostly.
They look plastic, actually. Yes.
And very, very strange environments that they've built for themselves.
Yeah.
You can venture forth if you so dare. Plenty of time to be able to do a little bit of that as well.
That's great. And it sounds like it was really a jam-packed time. And we talked about how this is a variation on a resort and a cruise ship, but it's missing some typical things you would find. You don't have a pool, you don't have the arcade. Did you find that you had time to miss anything? Is there anything you wish was there that wasn't?
No. Unless they could make it Star Wars-y, no. There wasn't a thing that I missed. I think everything that they did, one of the things I was nervous about before I went was I really felt like it was just such a short amount of time. I think that was the biggest thing in planning this, is that, boy, it blink and it's over. And that was my biggest concern, is that there wasn't going to be enough time. There was. It just somehow they've got it, leave it to Disney, they've got it timed out that you can do everything and you can be involved in the story, and you can see all of Batuu and that other strange land called Hollywood Studios. You can do all of that and not have it take away from the experience at all. And if you want to go swimming, then book something, and I mean you're in you're in the magic. You're the Disney World, for gosh sake. There's like 600 hotels and 220,000 rooms or whatever it is. Go swim someplace else once you're done. But yeah, enjoy this while you're there, because it is completely different. And I never even thought about other resort things while I was there. Not even a bit.
Not even a bit. Well, that's awesome. So the last question I have for you is, you obviously, as we said earlier, you went with a friend to self-professed Star Wars people who've been waiting many, many years for this to be built. Did you find that there were a lot of other adult-only groups, or was it mostly families? How did you find the mix, and how did you find other people did or didn't interact or change your experience?
You knew people, and there's certain people that you got attracted to because they were involved like you were. So, there were other people that were dressed up, and you naturally gravitated towards where they fit in the story as well. So there was an admiral, a guy dressed up as a First Order admiral that we talked with on a regular basis, because we were keeping in touch and in tune with our characters there, and what we were doing there on the Star Cruiser. So, then there were obviously your attractive blue and green aliens. I was flabbergasted by a couple of people on the ship who were in full makeup the entire time that they were there, and in character, right down to contact lenses that made their eyes a different shape. I mean, it was truly stunning.
They say Disney people are committed, but I think Star Wars people are above committed.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, but we also, like I said, there's that card game in the bar. We met a couple people in there. And then again, when you play a character, people identify you with that character. So we were constantly interacting with other people, and they wanted to interact with us. Either it's kind of a sheepish smile, or a wink and a nod or something like that was always going on. But as far as, again, like a deeper connection with people, probably not. Just not enough time. Not like other adventures you could take with Disney on our trip. It was really, if you're going to be there, you're going to do it with your friends, and you're going to experience this and kind of do it on your own. I didn't feel like I was missing anything by being that way. I thought it was just perfect.
I love the immediacy of your answer. Did you miss anything? No. Like there was not even a hesitation. No, I didn't need a pool. I didn't need any of the typical amenities. What haven't we covered though? Like, is there anything that you think, if you were to be somebody that's pitching this to a friend that is a Star Wars fan, or even somebody that isn't, what haven't we mentioned that is something that they would need to know as they're attempting to embark on this mission in a galaxy far, far away?
So I think what we left out, and I think we did this, we were very deft in doing this, Jeff, is that there is so much more that I haven't said.
Right.
There's so much more that's going on. There's so much more that you will experience once you get there, that you have to figure out. They really start communicating with you before you even get onto the Star Cruiser, and they try to get you involved and figure out what role do you want to play? What do you want to be? Are you a bystander? Are you resistance? Are you first order? And you have the ability to find out things about the ships. There's so much more there. I just can't say anything more because I don't want to give it away. It's just you've got to discover it on your own, and they don't shortchange you on the technology either. It's technology rich. And it's story rich. There's so much of a story there that happens, and by the time you get to the end and the finale, it's almost like you want to stand up and start cheering because it's that good. It's like you just saw the end of the show, and it's almost kind of sad that it's over, because now that means you got to get off and not be able to come back, and that's sad.
You are always welcome back on the Star Cruiser, just like you're always welcome back on our podcast. We are so happy that you joined us tonight. It was great to hear about your experience, and we can't wait to hear more.
Thanks for having me, Sandy, Jeff. Great being with you, and thanks for helping me or allowing me to relive that great experience that I enjoyed this past year. It was, it was fun, and thank you for, as always, Sandy, helping me connect with all things Disney.
My pleasure.
Well, I enjoyed the conversation. So for Sandy, for Mike, may the force be with you this week. And that's a wrap this week on Let's Talk Diz. If anyone you know could benefit from this or any show, please share, have them like, and subscribe. And don't forget to reach out to the folks at Easy Diz by Instant Impressions Travel Services for any Disney destination planning. Make it a great week. And as always, keep making memories.